Perfect. Okay. Um, so this is my live episode of Empire Universe, episode 50. So I'm just gonna wait for everyone to kind of join in. Like I said, not all of this is gonna be on my recorded version. So if anybody watching right now, I'm just gonna wave to everybody. All right. Yeah. Hey guys. Anybody that's watching or anybody that can't make it, this video will be going on YouTube and Spotify. So if you can't catch the live stream, then you are more than welcome to watch it on YouTube. And that reminds me, for people who are YouTubers, please subscribe to my Empire Universe channel. You should find it. You'll find my logo. It's the same as my Instagram. So that'd be great. That really helps me out. I love the support, and let's get this started. So I'm just gonna get Tim on here, and we'll get this started, guys. And at any time, you guys are more than welcome. You guys are more than welcome to post any questions while we're talking. I get a bit of issue with multitasking, but I'll try to answer questions. If Tim's talking, I'll try not to interrupt him. If I'm talking, I'll try to I'll add in the answer after. So, all right, guys, Tim should be on here in a second. So let's get this started. Tim, how are
Hey,
you, buddy?
good, guys. Good. Glad to be here, man. Glad to be here.
Good. Hey, so what have you been up to lately?
Just got done training arms about 45 minutes ago. Grabbed a quick shower and sat down here at the kitchen table. So it's been a quick and busy day.
Right on, man. I just did arms today too. It's feeling good. So, um, yeah, man. I just want to welcome you on my podcast. This is my first live stream that I've done, so you should feel very lucky. I'm
This
very
will be
honored to have you on. So, yeah,
uh,
let's get this started here.
sounds great.
Um, so you're obviously you just told me you just did arm day, so you're staying active.
Yep, yep. Continuing to train 6 days a week pretty much is my norm. It's part of what keeps me healthy. Obviously, I'm not I'm retired from competitive bodybuilding at this point now. I'd love to get back on stage one more time, but at this point, I'm retired. So it's what keeps me healthy. My body was accustomed to training for 6 days a week for 20 years, so I haven't been able to give that up. It's what keeps me healthy. It's what keeps me motivated, and it's still part of my life now.
Well, that's great, buddy. Yeah, so if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
43.
Okay. So I don't really know, like I know a little bit of like doing competitions and stuff, but does age play a factor in the competitions? How does that all work?
Um, Age plays a factor, yeah, for sure. There's lots of guys that are winning their pro cards in their masters. A lot of it depends on genetics. My genetics for me meant that, once I hit my late 30s, my body started having, different issues. I had some blood pressure issues. I've had some liver issues and things like that. They're, part of the sport, but when you want to take care of your health and be around to enjoy old age, I took a step back from competing at that point and kind of went further into my coaching and working with other people. And that's kind of how I live vicariously through my clients and my friends that I train and enjoy watching them win. Because I guess I can't get back up on stage anymore, so I enjoy watching them win.
Okay. Well, that's good, man. I mean, you got to take care of yourself, and it's not the first time I've heard someone talk about that. Um, like someone I was talking to from the gym a long time ago, she had done competitions, but she was talking about how much doing a show can have an effect on your body, especially
Oh, for
females, with
sure.
like affecting like the hormones and all that kind of jazz. So I could kind of see that for sure.
Yeah, I
Uh,
don't think bodybuilding, even in natural or unnatural shows, it's an extreme. They have an effect on your body, and you have to take care of your body after the show as much as you put time into the show. So, for me, 20 years of competing definitely it took its toll on my body. I'm healthy now. I'm
Mhm.
glad to say that. But you know, I had to give my body a break at some point and kind of recoup and heal, that sort of thing.
Right, right. Yeah, I just want to stop for a second. I didn't like when you were telling me some of all those things that were going on with your body. I didn't
Mhm.
need to smile and like make a joke. It's just all the comments that people are putting down, like you said, like old
No,
man, and I just saw
totally.
right there, like boom,
Part
ripped.
of it,
So
part of it part of it is my genetics, part of it's bodybuilding. My body just took a beating. I always kid when I first started bodybuilding, there was no internet, right? There was no way to figure out what supplements to use, when to use them. We all read Muscle Mag and a few other things, and there was, you know, different books out there you could get on online order, but there was no way to hop on a chat line. You know, I had one
yeah,
friend that had internet. That was it. So it was definitely the darker ages of bodybuilding when you had to go with your friends' knowledge and learn the sport kind of from the underground.
yeah, for sure. But I think that sometimes that can also play into your advantage because you're finding your own way. You're not looking up garbage on the internet because I mean it is good to have your sources, but sometimes you look on the internet, and I'll kind of bring this back to one of the questions or discussions that I wanted to get into. But
Yep.
sometimes you find that you go on the internet and you get into all this stuff, and people are like, yeah, you do this diet and you do 1,200 calories per day, and you do all this running, and this is what's going to keep you healthy and fit. When in reality, you're probably not going to feel very good. You're going to feel grumpy, and you're going to, like it's not good for you. So yeah, for sure. Like it can be a good thing, but it also can be a bad thing, as you said. Um,
Yep.
so do you have a home gym at all?
So currently I train at two different gyms. One is Southside Fitness in Wallaceburg. I love that gym, and my other gym is Corona Fitness in Corona here, about 30 seconds down the road from my home. So those are my two home gyms right now. Absolutely love them and support them in any way I can.
Oh, that's awesome, man. So Corona, I mean, how do you like living in a small town like that?
Um, I guess Corona I just consider part of Sarnia, right? It's just a slight extension to Sarnia. And I grew up in Owen Sound. So Sarnia was a big jump for me when I first moved. It's from Owen Sound to Sarnia. So I guess I'm still a small town kind of guy. I love going to Toronto. I love when I was competing and going to Toronto to, you know, train with my training partners and friends like that. But I'm a slow guy. I like to just chill and relax. And when I get to the gym, I don't want it to be packed. And I like good atmosphere and just, small town stuff.
Yeah, well, the reason why I was asking about Corona is because my girlfriend, she was born and raised in Corona.
Yep.
Her parents still currently live there, but she just bought a house down the road in Courtright, so just about 10 minutes, 5, 10 minutes down the road, past Moortown. Um, yeah, like I think Corona is a very nice little town. And you said the gym that you go to there was Corona Fitness or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw it. It's just by that Little Caesars, right?
Correct, just in behind there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a really big gym for the size of Corona. It's 24 hours a day access. Ron that runs it there has been in the gym all his life, him and his wife Shelly. They've made it a great facility for such a small town. And Jamie at Southside Fitness, the same idea. They've made a 24-hour day gym access in a small town, and given things to people that they don't normally have in those smaller towns. It's not very common to have 24-hour day gym access in a small little town like that. So we're pretty fortunate to have both of those places.
Right on, man. Yeah, so I was gonna ask you something, but you kind of already answered. So I guess let's start at the beginning here. So what got you into the whole fitness? Uh,
All right, this one's a good one. So I started working out, I guess, when I was about 16. My high school girlfriend had broken up with me, and in my mind, I had portrayed that as because I wasn't big enough, or her new boyfriend was bigger than me, that sort of thing. So I delved right into making myself bigger and stronger. From there, I got into football, and things just started to, I guess, become part of my life. So when I moved to Sarnia, the gym was a huge part of my life. I started working. I got a job bouncing, but it was strictly because I was bigger. So things started happening for me. People, took a different interest, I guess, and you paid more attention to you when you walk into a room, that sort of thing. And it started to become who I was. So people recognize, oh, that's Tim from the gym, or oh, that's Tim from Advanced Genetics, or whatever. It just became part of who I was, and it definitely sticks into my lifestyle now. And I have to thank bodybuilding for a huge part of what I have nowadays. So my house, all of these things, I contribute to the sport.
Okay, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I think I could kind of relate to your story. I was about, God, I was in college about 5 years ago. Time flies. And I was about maybe 20. Yeah, I was about 20, almost turned 21. And I kind of, tried to pursue the whole fitness life, but I never really had the true motivation. And uh, yeah, it just, it wasn't like I wasn't putting my heart into it. And then finally, I was about 236 pounds, no, 238 pounds.
Yep.
And I went to the doctors, and I mean, they said that I was still deemed healthy, but by age. But I mean, the weight said a different story. So I just, for me, I thought, I mean, of course, looks aren't everything, but I thought, okay, if I shed a couple pounds, the girls might, start to notice a little bit, and so I'm like, okay, so I went to St. Clair College in Chatham, so obviously part of your tuition, you get the gym on the side, I'm trying to think of the gym, whatever it's called. So they had the gym on the side. So I thought, what a great opportunity. I could go between classes. I had all this time to go. So I changed my diet around. I tried to look up things online,
Right. Yep.
and trying to find things that, okay, this is what's healthy, this is what's not. And then I was losing pounds. Like, I mean, I was dropping them really quickly. And I saw a big difference in myself. I'm like, wow, like you do all this work and this is what you get. Like, I mean, it's that simple. And yeah, and then I just did that for a couple of years, and then just back in October, yeah, October, I got myself a coach, Travis Winkworth,
Yep.
big guy, and he got me on the right board and really helped me with that last. I think I got maybe 30 more pounds to go, and then bulk as I go. Um, but he helped me get into that grit and that place that I need to go to get to my goal. And it's been a ride ever since. And not just that, but I've learned so much more about myself, and I've learned so much more about fitness and when to apply the foods and when to apply my nutrition at the right times.
Yep.
So for me, it's been an awesome journey for sure.
Awesome. Awesome.
So yeah. So and when was your first nationals competition?
My first show was at 20, just turned 20 years of age, and my first nationals, I want to say, was around early 30s. Um, my first show was the Windsor Cup. I want to say early 2000s. Um, that show produced some amazing bodybuilders: Fuad Abiad, Lou Joseph. I mean, they had some overall winners of that show that were absolutely amazing. So I decided I was going to enter that show, and I coached myself for it. I didn't have a clue. I used my friend's advice and took what 15 different plans and combined them all into one and coached myself. I made it into weigh-ins on the Friday night, came back on the Saturday morning and basically knew I was in way over my head. I walked away from that show. I didn't end up on stage. I left. Um, I
Really?
got my card. I couldn't handle it. It was just too much for me. I was psyched out. I left. I remember my wife at the time drove me back, or my girlfriend, my wife now, drove me back to Sarnia. And I was in a state of depression, I think, for probably 3 years. It took me a long time to recover from that. It really, really, really affected how I trained, how I viewed myself, all that sort of stuff. It took me 3 years. And then I remember I found an amazing coach in Sarnia who helped me kind of overcome that level and gave me an idea of where I needed to be. And I went back 3 years later and won the entire thing for that show. And that kind of just solidified for me bodybuilding was definitely something I wanted to do. It was a horribly awful feeling leaving that show and not having anything to show for it, never being on stage, never winning anything, and then to come back 3 years later and win the entire show with a really tough class and a really tough overall. It kind of, I guess, it hooked me. There's nothing better than being on stage and winning the whole show. It's an amazing feeling. So for nationals, for me, nationals is always in the past has been just an unbelievable show. My first trip to nationals was, for me, kind of eye-opening. I called it the land of hobbits. Everyone seemed to be about 5'2" or 5'4", and they all were 250 pounds. So for me, it was very eye-opening as to where I needed to go to be successful at nationals, and where the level of competition was at. In the early 2000s, 2010 even, bodybuilders were pro caliber, all of them at national level. I mean, the national level guys are no joke. They are serious, serious competitors who are basically dedicating their entire lives to this sport. So, it was very eye-opening for me, my first trip to nationals. It was a good experience. I think I placed okay, I think, for the first time. I can't remember. It definitely wasn't in the top 5. But it was, I remember leaving there feeling good about myself. It was still a good experience for me.
Okay. Sorry, I was just trying to get all these comments down. Someone just asked the question, then I can't see it, so I'm trying to screw around with this. Okay. So someone put in a question. It was, what's the biggest adversary? I can't say the word.
Adversity, yeah.
Adversary you were faced within competition prep and had to overcome.
All right. So for me, I can think of a very distinct time. I want to say it was just prior to probably my first trip to nationals in Canada. Lou Joseph, who's an IFBB pro, was my coach. We were using a protein shake, and I want to say around 6 weeks out, Lou had sent me a message that said, tonight's the last night for protein shakes. And I was making these very creative 3 scoops of protein, 3 strawberries, blended with ice in my blender, and it was just this immaculate, amazing thing that probably tastes like garbage, but to me at the time, I thought it was amazing. And I remember making that protein shake, and I remember turning the blender on, and immediately the blender started to smoke. It burns up, and I just remember having a complete breakdown. I was on the floor crying. I had a full-on nervous breakdown, I'm sure of it. I wanted that protein shake so bad. It was about 9 o'clock on a Sunday night, and I didn't know what to do. I needed it blended. I didn't want to drink it. I wanted it blended thick with ice. I wanted it to be exactly the way I had it for the last few weeks, and Lou had said this was the last protein shake. So I remember crying on the floor, and I remember my wife looking at me and not saying a word, just walking out she just walked out the front door. And I remember being angry at her for just leaving me there, as I kind of laid on the kitchen floor. And probably about 25 minutes or so had passed. And during that time, my wife had driven to Walmart, which was still open, and purchased a blender, drove home, and didn't say a word to me. Just dumped all the contents of the broken blender to the new one, blended me the shake. And I remember just sitting there, just drinking that shake like it was the most amazing thing on earth. Probably the lowest point for me competition-wise was being broken by a blender, and pretty humiliated that I sat there and sobbing over a simple protein shake. But when you're in contest prep and you're super depleted, little things, they become huge things. You get a little more grouchy, you become a little bit more angry. And in this case, the blender was definitely the breaking point for me.
Okay. Well, it's funny that you brought this story up because I was going to ask you about that because some people, they're like, oh, you got to ask them that story. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. I didn't want to put you on the spot, but I'm like, okay.
Yeah, a lot of people, when they struggle in contest prep, a lot of my clients now, I bring that story up every once in a while. I'm like, no matter how bad it gets, you're not crying on your kitchen floor, I hope. And give some people some laughs that their coaches made a fool of himself much more than they have, and it'll be okay. We can make it through.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so I guess now that we kind of talked about how you got into fitness and your competitions, so what made you decide to get into the whole coaching aspect?
Like I said, bodybuilding, I knew probably about 37, my last trip to nationals, which was in Alberta. I think I was about 37, 38 years old. I got off stage there. And I had competed with one of my good friends, Mark Richmond. We both had not a great show. I think we were both in great shape, but just not placing the way we'd wanted to. And we were both heading towards 40. And I remember thinking to myself, this might be my last time on stage. And what do I want to do with myself? Like, this has been my entire life, for a lot of years. So what do I want to do? And at that point, I really hadn't done much coaching at all. I'd helped a couple people prep and that sort of thing. But it wasn't a huge thing for me. I had one training partner at the time, Mike Bowman, who had kind of decided that he wanted to compete. And he was probably one of the first guys that I trained that let me do his entire prep for him. And he was extremely successful. And that was so rewarding for me. I think I enjoyed watching other people win more than I did myself. And I loved going out for dinner with their family afterwards and having to hear stories about their blenders or whatever crazy things they did during prep that broke them, and enjoying the laughs with their family. I love that. When I coach clients, everything I can, I try to make sure I'm there all day Saturday. And I love to go out for dinner afterwards with my clients with their families because it gives everybody a chance to laugh and have a good time, and almost make fun of that person that was a complete grouch for the last 12 weeks or whatever, and have a good time. So that became such a big part for me, and I really enjoyed watching other people win. So it kind of took over for me and filled that spot that I needed filled from not being able to compete anymore.
Okay. Yeah, right on, man. Yeah, because it appears that you're very compassionate about, and it's almost like you treat your clients like family, pretty much,
Yep.
and you're just taking care of them, and you're looking after them, and that's something I really do value. Not saying that coaches that I know that aren't like that, but I know there's probably some coaches out in the world that are just, yeah, I'm going to coach you and tell you what to do, and then that's it. But
Yep.
you take it to that other level, and you want to make sure, hey, like I'm, taking care of you basically.
Yeah, my biggest worry when people hire me and work with me, my biggest worry is that I don't ever want the situation where people, they do one show with me or they coach with me for a year and then they feel weird talking to me or they feel weird contacting me or, don't want to come up and talk to me at a booth. That's my biggest fear in bodybuilding in the sport is, and I always make sure that everyone knows that even if you decide that after a year you're going to hire a different coach or you decide to go a different way, that there should never be any weird feelings. I can't stand that whole, I guess, part of the club. When you're no longer coaching with that person, you're not part of the club anymore. I never want that. I want everyone to feel, the same way, whether or not they work with me or not, that I'm still approachable and you can still text me and find out, hey, what do you think of this or what do you think of that? And that's how that's how I want to be treated as an athlete, and that's how I try to coach. I try to take a lot of the things that I had from really great coaches. I had a lot of really amazing coaches, and I try to take bits and pieces from everybody and try to piece together something that I think I would have wanted at the time. I've had some people give a lot of things to me as coaches. Lou Joseph, for instance, took me to New York when he was doing the New York Pro for no reason, just other than, hey, you want to come along for the ride? I'm doing a New York Pro and I'd like to have you there. And that was amazing for me to be at a pro show as an amateur and experience all those guys and watch all those guys. So it was, I value those kind of things and I try to include them when I'm training my clients.
Okay. Yeah, and just another question from one of the viewers. So it says, day to day, the gym is our anchor. During this global COVID issue, what's been your anchor to stay both mentally and physically focused and grounded?
For me, it's been, I guess, social media's helped. I will admit when COVID first happened, I struggled training. Like I did not want to train at home. I had no interest in doing it whatsoever. And my health depends on me training. I need to train. So something as simple as my son, who's now 15, decided that he was, into working out the weights just prior and wanted something to do. So we bought a Bowflex. And
Nice.
I thought I was never going to use that thing, because my son's down there, my wife's down there, everyone's working out in the house. It became part of my daily routine, and that's just the way I've continued on with it. The two gym owners in Corona and Wallaceburg have checked in with me periodically, been motivating and all that sort of stuff. But mostly it's just been trying to keep a routine with my family, and making fitness part of our daily routine. So my son will go down and work out. We'll go down and go through some stuff. And then my wife is working out as well on a regular basis now. So it's all about just routine. And that's how I kind of got through it. I'm definitely looking forward to gyms being open.
Oh,
Can't wait. I think I check social media more for days that gyms will be open, more than anything else now. Hopefully that sounds like maybe a few more weeks and we can get back into being at the gym in Ontario with some, I guess, different environments, but hopefully soon.
I wish. Can't wait. I know. I'm good. I already said to my coach. I think was it my coach I said this to, or it could have been one of the people on the team. But I was like, honestly, first week I'm just gonna destroy, and I'm gonna save the last day of the week for leg days. And at least if I do leg day at the beginning of the week, I know that the rest of the week is going to be hell because I already know like probably legs is the worst thing I've been able to train during this whole thing, just with the
Yeah.
weights and everything that I have. But I don't know. I'm going to surprise myself. I think I'm going to surprise myself with all the things I've actually gained strength from. So I'm pretty excited. I'm excited, but I'm really anxious to get back into the gym like everyone else. So yeah. Uh, so I guess where am I at? Okay. So have you had any bad experiences coaching?
Um, I wouldn't say I've had bad experiences. To be honest with you, coaching causes me stress sometimes, only because it's personal level for me. I want people to succeed. So if
Mhm.
I worry about whether or not they will be successful. I think sometimes more than they do at times. I know many times backstage and stuff, my clients will look at me and go, "You okay?" Like I get stressed out. I don't like to watch them on stage. I like to get backstage and be with them. And then a lot of times I'll have to ask someone in front, "So how did they do?" Because I really I try to be right there with them the whole time. So I wouldn't say I've had any bad experiences. Just just the stress of wanting people to succeed so badly at times, and making sure that I guess their desire is where I want them to be, and hopefully they understand how much it takes to get there. It's just stress, but it's a good stress. I love it. I wouldn't trade it.
Okay, that's good, man. I mean, yeah, I could see how I could understand that. I mean, like, you know, it's just the fact that like you've gone so far with this person for so many weeks, to get them prepared for this show, and you just want the best for them, and you just want
Yeah,
to see them just have that moment, I guess.
yeah. My generally my thought pattern for everyone is if you when they hire me or interview me, my goal is to get everyone on the stage with something around their neck. That's always the goal. That's something to show for it, something to be proud of. I push people really hard. I think any of my clients will attest to that. It's I push them really really hard. I want you up on stage with no regrets. That first show with me that I backed away from, I had tons of regrets, and it haunts me. Even to this day, it still haunts me. So I don't want anyone up there going, "Oh, I wish I'd worked a little harder," or "I wish I'd done a little more cardio." When people hire me for their first show, I literally try to take just about everything they've got from them. So there's nothing left in the tank. So whether it's first place or fifth place, they're pumped because there was nothing left they could give. And that's where, that's how I always train to be on stage, and that's how I train my clients. The same idea. If there's nothing left in the tank, you're happy with exactly where you got because you knew that was the absolute best you could give.
Okay, well, it's good to hear, man. Uh, so what would be like your favorite and not so favorite moments of coaching?
Oh, ooh, favorite moments. Favorite moments. Um, hmm, that's a good question. I think
Like,
favorite
yeah.
favorite moments for me, probably just honestly sitting backstage and seeing people come off stage at that night show. And I like to win, and we win fairly regularly. My clients do quite well. Just that look on people's face, I wouldn't trade that for anything. And it doesn't matter if it's a first or a fifth. The look that people give, and it really doesn't matter to me who it was, whether it's one of my bikini athletes or one of my bodybuilders. I just love seeing that face. Um, Lows for me. um, I always show up on Friday night for shows with my athletes. I stay with them all night in their hotels, and then stay with them all day Saturday if I can. Um, and some of my lows are sleeping on hotel room floors. Just rough nights because people are stressed out, and I get stressed out, and then those are long, rough nights. So I can think of a couple times trips to Coalbergs with a few of my friends to compete out there, and that's a 6-hour drive home on a Saturday night after I haven't slept on Friday night. So those are some pretty rough times.
Oh, I can only imagine. Um, so, what's been your favorite competition that you've done in the past?
Um, Honestly, my favorite competition was probably my last one, and it was one of my worst placings at nationals. There was something about that show. I think because I was there with my good friend Mark Richmond. Um, we both were in the call out together, and it wasn't in the top spot. But it was something. There was just something about being up there. Two of my close friends from Ontario who had moved to Alberta were there. My wife was there. Um, and just being up on stage with Mark, and I battled with Mark my entire career. Mark had beaten me in many, many times, and I think I just, to be up there with Mark and holding my own in that collar was just something, it meant something to me. Getting off stage and kind of realizing that the top group of five were all under 25 years of age at that time, 26, 25 years of age. And I was, heading towards 40. There was just something about that. It was probably one of my worst placings at nationals, to be honest, but it was something that really felt good about it. And I really enjoyed my time on stage that day. I think I savored it more, or I remembered more of that, because I had the feeling that it was probably one of my last times on stage. So I think it just meant something to me. It's one of those ones I can think of lots of times I won overalls and winning shows and things like that, and winning the Toronto Super Show heavyweight class and all these great other moments, but that one sticks out in my mind.
Right. Okay. No, I could see that. Yeah, I mean, like, there's nothing better than doing some kind of competition or doing something in that sort of means with someone that you know, or someone that's a friend of yours. It's like we're doing this together kind of thing.
Yeah,
So,
and that was exactly Mark and I went out for supper afterwards. His parents were there. It was just a really, really good day. The prep was a really great prep. My boss for the Advanced Genetics had coached me for that, Chris Johnson. It was a relatively easy prep. It wasn't too hard for me. And there was just something really satisfying about being there. I was in great shape. I had a couple injuries, but it was just it was just a good way to go out. It was a good way to go out for me.
that evening after that show, what did you go and eat?
I think that night there was a UFC fight on,
Oh,
and
fuck yeah.
we showed up to a restaurant, and I don't think we got anything. Mark's parents, I think, starved. I don't think they got their meals at all. I think I might have had chicken wings and nachos, and then then they eventually came to us and said, "We can't get you your desserts. We're just too busy, and your meals on us. Have a great night." So we didn't really get much. I remember going back to my hotel room, going, "Where's the 7-Eleven? I need to get some chocolate bars or something." Um, but yeah, I don't even think Mark got a meal that night. I don't think there was anything there.
Oh,
Um,
jeez.
it was just it was a hectic meal. The restaurant was packed, and it was it was what it was. I remember my wife went out and got me some little ice cream cups, the kind you get when you're in grade school with a little wooden spoon, and I think I dummied about 10 of those from the corner store that night.
Oh, that, yeah. I mean, that's nothing is worse than, you do the show, you did all this work, and now you're looking forward to just destroying your fucking bowel. I mean, like, and then like, and then they can't really give you your dessert, and you really don't get that much food. So that would really kind of suck. But I mean, you know, is what
Yeah,
it is. So.
yeah. For me, the binge eating after the show, I don't get carried away too much after the show. I try to keep it pretty clean. I was born and I guess diagnosed with a disorder called hypokalemia, which is like potassium disorder. So if I eat too much junk and too much fat, my potassium levels drop super low, and it causes paralysis. I can't move my legs. So if I binge eat too much, I end up being on the floor, and usually that means a trip to the emergency room to get an IV of potassium. So for the most part, for me, my post-show meals are pretty controlled for the most part, and I try to be as responsible as I can. I don't want to have that big balloon up after the show either. I try to book some photo shoots and things like that after shows to keep me sane for a couple days, anyways.
Right. So because of that, does that kind of help? Does that help facilitate your diet when you're just off season?
100%, 100%. Because if I know if I eat certain foods for too long, my potassium is going to drop down. So I'm guaranteed if I go off my diet for more than 3 days, I'll have problems, and it'll start with my feet bloating and things like that, and then I'll lose feeling in my fingertips, and so it's kept me pretty. Probably the reason I still live this lifestyle the way I do is my this genetic disorder has kind of forced me to. It's part of what I do. It's what I've become accustomed to, I guess. I still have cheat meals. I can eat a lot of food. I just can't string it together into a whole lot of junk meals.
Right. No, and I guess, yeah, that would, I can't imagine. I mean, I have that option, right? But sometimes I cheat a little bit too much than I need to, especially during this quarantine.
Yep.
Uh, but I think the first 2 weeks was hard. Um, I'm just waiting for somebody here. Yeah, like I think the first 2 weeks I think were probably the hardest. Not that I got carried away, but I cheated a little bit more than I normally would. Um, but I think after that, I really tightened things up and try to do the as best as I can. I mean, I can do cardio all day, all night. But I mean, I kind of don't want to lose my muscle that way, so I kind of have to lift some kind of weights. So,
The
um,
biggest thing I found with people, even clients I've trained with COVID, is it's routine, right?
it
It's
is.
finding structure. People that were successful competitors and lifestyle people that I coach, when they're being successful, it's the routine, it's their lifestyle. And
Mhm.
the COVID, crisis changed everyone's lifestyle, or a vast majority of us. So, finding a different lifestyle that adapts to the current situation is tough, and it took everyone a couple weeks. It took me probably at least that. But it's still about trying to find that routine, right? That's what we all strive for, is that routine to get ourselves into that groove. So you're making progress and you're able to track progress and all that sort of stuff.
100%, dude. I mean, like for me, one thing that I really learned to do, so for chest, I know that I don't have a bench. So I thought, okay, what can I do for chest? So my goal right now is every single workout, I try to do a little bit more push-ups than I did before, and then so on with incline, decline. So I think the first time I started doing it, it was more, I was doing maybe 50 push-ups all together, or not all together, but like in like I would do like 10 and then 10 here, 10 here, 10 here, and 10
Yep.
here. Um, but I got to the point where now I'm doing in one workout, I'm doing I think 150 maybe. Yeah, about 150. I mean, it doesn't seem like that much, but I mean, once you get through, like, I can do 40 nonstop, and then after that, it's like 20, 20, 20, and you get to like 100, and it's like that mental state, like, oh fuck, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yep.
I mean, like knowing, okay, I don't have a bench press, so what can I do? So I just keep pushing myself, and honestly, like after when I transitioned from doing bench to just doing push-ups, the pump I got is just unreal. It's unreal. I love it, and then obviously I do my incline and decline, and it's great. And that's something right there is what works for me.
Yep. It's
Um,
it's going to be different for everyone, right? And a lot of times, just finding those different angles, those different muscle fibers, triggering different things,
mhm.
can create all sorts of new growth, new cardiovascular strength, all that sort of stuff. So everyone's got to find that little niche that gets them motivated, right? So it's if push-ups did it, that's awesome.
Absolutely, man. Um, yeah. So okay. So I had a podcast yesterday, I believe,
Yep.
uh, with someone that's on my team, and so we were kind of discussing. I'm not sure we discussed keto, but we definitely discussed other diets. So with keto, what is your thoughts on keto?
Um, I don't use keto particularly. I might do a keto day on a diet plan, but I don't use keto myself. What I've kind of adapted in my coaching style is what I've used and experienced myself, and have direct knowledge with, is what I continue to do. I don't really go outside my box of knowledge. I try to do what I do. Keto wasn't something I was very successful with myself, and I struggled personally when I used it with if I was on it for a month or so, I knew I was going to have to take some time to come off it. You just can't drop keto and decide that
Oh,
you're going
no, you can't.
to go back to normal lifestyle. So my rule of thumb when I was doing it was always, 1 month on, and then I would have to ease back into things for 2 weeks. So if I was on for 2 months, then I meant to almost a month of slowly easing back in. It was kind of my thought pattern, and I really struggled with willpower. If I'd gone without, or very extremely low carbs on keto, to just being said, today we're just going to add back in 20 grams or 40 grams of carbs. My willpower really couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. So asking my clients that are a lot of first time competitors to do that, and then after a show to have the willpower and the restraint to not throw those carbs back in, just wasn't successful for me. It wasn't something that I use. So keto isn't something I typically have in a lot of my contest preps or anything, strict like that. Like I said, maybe a keto day, but that's about as far as I go. Not that it isn't successful. There's amazing coaches out there that do it. Craig Bonnet in Alberta is amazing at it. Dave Palumbo is amazing at it. It works extremely well. But again, I always say that my response is go with a coach that knows what their strategy is. And my strategy doesn't happen to be keto. So I stick inside my box of knowledge. And that's how I've been successful.
Right. Okay. Yeah, no, and that's you know, everyone has their own opinion about keto. I personally don't like it. I don't and I mean, I might be a little bit biased because I've always learned to just have a certain diet, balanced diet, and well, more strict, but balanced in terms of like every kind of food out there. I've kind of just had kind of a simple diet, but I've seen people, and I don't want to talk about people that are using keto and know what they're doing, but I'm talking about like the average citizen using keto. I don't think it's a good idea because, as you said, like when you're introducing carbs back in your diet, you have to do it slowly. And I think the problem that people find or people are getting into is that so the people will be on this keto diet. Okay, so let's say this guy he's 200 pounds and he wants to drop to 150.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes on this keto diet and he's dropping pounds like flies. And it's like, okay, now he's down to 160 and he's like, oh, all right, I got this 10 pounds. Look at all this fat I lost. I think I can enjoy myself a whole pizza. Well, probably not a good idea. And that's a problem that people face is that and it's not even about putting that weight back on so quickly like that. It's about people having bowel issues because your body's been used to running on fats the whole time. And not just that. And it's not just that aspect. It's also about people understanding how to use the diet properly. Like people think, oh, I could just eat bacon all the time. Well, yeah, that's nice, but that's still not technically good for you. I mean, I
Yeah.
get it. That might be part of like the diet plan that they've looked up, but I personally don't think that's, you know, very healthy for you. I mean, my philosophy on fitness and dieting is if you're eating whole foods, you're doing them at the right times, and you're balancing out the grams of every single meal, you're going to be successful. I mean, it's easier said than done, but I just, in terms of the keto, I don't believe in it. At least for as a lifestyle, I don't think so. It's not something that you can do your entire life. I can't see it, but
Yeah, my views on that are pretty similar. It's not keto is not something I would personally choose to live a lifestyle on. I don't know I'm not knowledgeable of what the side effects would be of that, but I can imagine there are some out there. You know, it's been proven to be successful for quick weight loss, and contest people have been successful on it. Again, I think it comes down to there's so many ways to skin a cat as far as contest prep goes, right? There's 1,000 different ways to do it. You just have to find a coach that you trust and you've interviewed them and you've done your research and then buy into their program and listen to their program. I do have friends that are great coaches that use keto and are very good at it. It's just not what I've chosen to use. Like you said, I'm pretty much a straight line guy where my clients that are on here tonight will vouch that you'll see 1 cup of rice and 6 ounces of chicken and 1 cup of spinach listed very, how you cook and prepare it is up to you, but this is what I need you to get down. And that's how I was coached. It's how I was successful, and that's how I've continued to coach other people as well. Very disciplined in our dieting approach. We still have cheat meal every week, but we try to be very disciplined in understanding that whole foods and clean eating are what builds the physiques, not so much cheat meals and having Pop Tarts and things like that pre-workout are not really typically part of my programs. Not that they haven't been in there every now and then, but it's just I tend to stick to clean eating, controlled caloric intake, and a 1 cheat meal a week is typically my dieting strategies.
yeah, 100%. And I mean, like elaborating on what you just said, I've seen a lot of your clients, like just people that I have on my Instagram and people that I've went to the gym with or whatever. Trying to think like Cameron Blue, I think
Yep.
you've coached him. I think he was more trying to do like bulking and doing
Yep.
it properly and stuff. Like I've seen him, he's got some gains going on and like he talks very highly of you, and I can see it through your Instagram,
I
your social
appreciate
media.
it.
A lot of people talk very highly of you, and I can see that. I can see why. And I mean, when you get that, do you get that kind of gratification as well? How do you respond to that?
Um, I guess I'm flattered. I'm extremely flattered. I guess it gives you a special feeling inside or whatever. But uh, I just the feeling of watching people win. I keep going back to that. That's what drives me. I mean, there's people out there that'll tell you that I probably coach them for free. Um, and there's people that'll tell you, and most of my clients, I don't charge much. It's not about that for me. It's about being successful, and I love being there when people are successful. It's an amazing feeling for me. So I push and I push and I push and I'll push some more probably and take everything I can from clients. But it's just that feeling when they're so successful. You know, it's what still drives me, right? It's what gets me out on Saturday and Friday and Saturday nights to all the CPA shows across Ontario. And it's part of my social life. It's part of my personal life, everything. So I just love my sport. I absolutely love my sport. I remember Bob Weatherall was probably one of my best coaches. He was super amazing at educating and motivating me. He just kept saying to me all over and over again, "I just love this sport. I just love this sport." And that resonated with me to the point now that I'm in the place that Bob was. I'm the old man and coaching all these young guys coming up, and I'm like, I just keep saying the same thing. I just love the sport. I just love being at the shows. I love watching people win. I love the competition of it. I love the trash talking in the gym and pushing people. It's just, I don't know. It's just how I'm wired, and I love every part of that.
Well, that's good, man. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, because I don't want to get into it because I've been in this topic so many times with so many people in my podcast, but I guess, and it's just kind of a simple thing to say is like, if your heart is not into it, if your heart is not into doing shows or just the lifestyle of fitness, you probably shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, shows are
It, it's
they're
very, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
no, there are no easy shows in Ontario anymore, or even in Canada per se. People used to, when I first started bodybuilding, there was some shows out there that you could enter and be successful at, and you didn't really need to put much effort into. Those shows are gone now. The CPA especially, very competitive. People are entry level shows coming looking like ready for pros. Some of the bikini girls I see coming on for entry level shows are just mind boggling. So people take the sport really seriously, and they put thousands of dollars into preps. I mean, some of those bikini suits cost over $1,000. People are putting serious money into this, and I recognize that as a coach that you put a lot of money into the sport, and there's not a lot of money returned back to you. You're not going to walk away with big prize money or any of that kind of stuff for winning a show. So you have to be internally motivated by it. You have to want to be successful, and not because anyone's going to give you anything at the end of it. Because when you get off stage, I mean, you might have a gym bag or something, a t-shirt or something like that, but there's not a lot of prizes. So you have to be motivated by success internally and how you feel about how you did and that sort of thing.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so I'm just trying to get through here because with the Instagram Live, there's only so much, there's like a time limit here.
Yep.
So let me see. Okay. I was going to get into the whole carnivore diet, but it might be for another time.
Yep. No problem.
So what do you think is the most common mistake that people make when they're dieting and working out?
I guess it's twofold. Two problems that I see with younger competitors or people that are new to the sport. One is that people don't spend the time to find a coach that's qualified and educated and been around for enough time that they know what they're doing. The other thing I find is people doubting their coaches. So when you spend the time to find a coach and you've researched and you've seen what they do with their clients, and you've spoken to past clients and all that sort of thing, you need to buy into what they're saying. You really need to follow the direction and not follow blindly. Definitely ask questions and learn from it. That's what I did for 20 years, is learn from every person I could. But buy into the program. I think one of the best pieces of advice I got from a coach, probably in my early 20s, was I remember him saying to me, just do everything I ask you to. And when you're on stage, if it doesn't go well, you get to blame me. And I've used that with my clients as well, where, you know, if you do everything I ask you to, and you give me everything I'm asking, it's my fault. I'm the coach. You know, just do everything I'm asking you to do. And you don't have to stress about how you do it this show. That's my job. And I've really tried to coach with that philosophy too. This is my job as the coach, is to make sure you're successful. You need to do the program and follow the program. And that's one of the mistakes I see people kind of making in the sport, is they'll hire a coach and then they'll kind of second guess, or, you know, not follow because the program gets a little tough. But one of the easiest stress relievers is to be able to blame someone else. So when you're following your coach's program, that's their program. You follow it, you learn from it, and the nice thing is it's their program. So just do what they've asked you to. Obviously, learn from it, question, and get the education as to why you're doing things. But you paid them, so follow the program.
Right. Okay. Yeah, no, I can see that. I think that's kind of actually something that I encountered when I started with Team Wink. So what happened was, not like literally, but like he gave me my first, like the first week when I first started, he one of the things he told me was to eat this certain thing after when I work out. It was like my post workout meal, and I'm thinking, I had text him back. I'm like, are you sure that's okay to? I just, I thought it was more of like a joke, or like if it was like I wasn't really too sure. I was like, are you serious? He was like, yeah, no, I want you to eat that after your work. I'm like, okay, no
Yep.
problem. And then it kind of took me that second to kind of get over that. I'm like, okay, no problem. I'll eat I'll eat cereal after my workout. I'm okay with that. So
No,
yeah,
there's
that was kind of for,
so many
yeah, like
different
that was the
knowledge.
phase workout or diet. So it was nice, but changed after. So it wasn't as fun, but um, yeah.
I think the biggest thing people is when your coach gives you something and you're not sure about it, ask, right? Get the knowledge as to why we're doing certain things. There's all kinds of weird things that I have in my programs that I picked up over the years, and you know, coaches all talk and we compare notes and that sort of thing. Ask. I mean, the only reason I built any knowledge over the 20 years that I competed was just asking, why do we do this, or what's the purpose for this, or why is this supplement here? What does it do? Good coaches will always explain that stuff. It's not secrets. We're not trying to hold anything back, or, you know, we don't want to let you know why we take this at this time. It's all about knowledge. And when it comes down to the real contest prep part of stuff, that stuff's not on the internet. You know, you can find bits and pieces stuff, but when it comes down to the actual programs and how you apply them, that's pretty, I don't want to call it privileged knowledge, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of experience to figure out a system that works and why we do the things we do in our programs.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I could see that. Um, yeah, so now we're going to be kind of talking about the gym.
Okay.
What's probably your biggest pet peeve when you're at the gym?
Biggest pet peeve. I hate empty gyms. I hate them. I love when the gym is packed. I don't want an empty gym, even though it's nice every once in a while to go in and get out quick. My biggest pet peeve is a dead gym. I love atmosphere. I love people banging weights. I love people making noise. I like people pushing around me because it makes me work out harder. Even if it's just someone, that they're just beginning to work out. If they're working out hard and they've got intensity, man, that drives me, and it makes me work out harder. Even if they're only lifting 5 pound dumbbells, if they're working hard, that's motivating. So I love seeing other people in the gym. My biggest pet peeve is a dead gym. I want it busy. I want an atmosphere. I want some music. I want, people excited to be there, and not just dragging their feet when they walk in the door. So I love going to the gym. I love it. It's, I push and break myself and try to break limits, and the people that I train with will vouch. I try to break them as much as I can too. So, I appreciate when people are there for, to have fun and really push each other.
That's good to hear, man. Yeah, and for me, I guess pet peeve for me at the gym, I'll kind of elaborate on what you said. So I personally, I don't like it when it's busy. Like, I mean, sorry, no, I don't like when it's packed because like I get a little bit of that claustrophobic kind of feeling. I
Yeah.
don't like when I have to like people are walking in front of me, people are like that drives me nuts, but I think most people could probably agree on that. Um, but also I don't like it totally dead because it just that there's no there's nothing that's really excitement. Like they might have music playing around, I might have, earbuds in my ear, but like you don't see people like going crazy. It doesn't get you all like, oh, let's go, like it doesn't get you all pumped up. But so I can kind of agree with you on that. But my biggest pet peeve with the gym is probably when you have a machine that you want to use and you got 3 or 4 guys and they're chatting and they're on there for like half an hour and they're all just chatting and they're not really working out, or you get some people that they're just there to just chat and I try to be respectful and I'll try to find, like, say if I got a push day, so I get through, maybe it could be as simple as like they're all hanging out on the bench or whatever,
Yep.
doing the bench press or whatever. Yeah, I'll try to find different things to like work my chest while I'm waiting. But it gets to a point where like I'm like, okay, guys, come on, let's go, because as much as they have every right to be at the gym and you gotta respect other people, but it gets to a point where it's like, hey,
Everybody's
like
yeah.
I work three freaking jobs. Like, come on, man, I gotta go. So I want to get my pump in and I want to go home, especially when they're both taken like that. That is the most disrespectful thing I find, is when people, they're not even using, they're just chatting, and it's not even like, if they acknowledge and say, oh no, sorry, you know what, we're done, well, go ahead. But it's when people that, like, you get some meatheads that are just dicks and they want to just,
Dominate a
they think
machine.
that that's what I get really riled up about. But you know what, people are people, and you just go in the gym. I try not to focus on that. I just go in and just think about getting that sick pump and walking out of that gym knowing with no regrets, I guess,
Yeah, I
of my
always
work.
find with busy machines, my answer always is my workout partner's a little joke, but if someone's on a machine and they're kind of just taking their time or on their cell phone, I'm the first one to ask, "Did you have many sets left?" And I undoubtedly always get an answer about one or two. It's usually the answer I get in there.
Yeah.
They recognize that someone's waiting for the machine and off they go. But yeah, it can be a bit frustrating, and social media has definitely changed that as far as how much time people spend in the gym, and
100%.
what all they're doing in the gym isn't always as focused as it was at one time. But for the most part, I think gym atmosphere is pretty good. In most
Yeah.
places, I haven't been to very many bad gyms anymore. People are generally there to better themselves. They all have the same goal of some sort, whether it's different sports or whatever. But they're all there to make better. And whether it's bodybuilders or whether it's baseball players or hockey players, everyone's there to get better, right? So most of the time I find, he just talking to people, hey, you got many sets left? Or, can I hop in? I'm synonymous for I'll hop in on anybody's machine if they'll let me. You could be on the bench press and 45-pound plate and, I'll hop right in. Can I hop in with you? And people are pretty courteous. Yeah, sure. Go ahead, work in. And that's usually how I squeeze myself into getting my sets in and stuff like that. Just trying to be friendly and talk to people and stuff like that. But yeah, it's social media and cell phones and Instagram and Facebook have definitely changed the whole, I guess, the way people work out as well too. So
Right on. Yeah, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off there. We just have about 2 minutes before we go at the
yep,
limit, because it's only an hour for the Instagram live. I just
awesome.
figured that out before, and time's just been flying. So I'll have maybe one more question. Yeah. Okay. Well, 2 more questions. So the first one will be kind of quick. What's your favorite cheat meal?
Pizza and chicken wings. It never fails. It's always been there for me. Pizza and chicken wings.
Okay. And the last one is, so what's your message for upcoming athletes and people who want to live a healthy lifestyle?
Okay. Upcoming athletes, I always go with find a coach, find a reputable coach, interview that coach, make sure they fit with your goals and your personality. Just because they got great credentials doesn't mean they're always going to be jive with you. So, do your due diligence, take your time, interview that coach, make sure you spend some time talking to them on the phone or getting to know them before you start handing over money. And then just for overall lifestyle style goals and things like that. I always say bodybuilding is a very extreme sport. It may not always be a healthy sport. In the last 4 weeks of the show, I wouldn't describe it as very healthy at times. So keep that in mind when you're talking about a show. It's the very end extreme of weightlifting and dieting and things like that. So you got to find balance, and you got to be pay attention to nutrition and overall just through the entire year. It's not a one day and out. It's a lifestyle that you have to live all year long.
Okay. Well, Tim, it's been nothing but a pleasure having you on my podcast.
It was an
And
honor, man. It was an honor.
thank you for coming on, and I love to have you on again. So
Anytime.
we got 10 seconds here, so
All right, guys.
we'll see you later, man.
Have a good night, guys. See ya.
See you guys.